The research that I focus on is in metadata, which is information documentation, classification, knowledge organization, and this all links to research related to the semantic web. I have this driving main research question, which is, as information has become more digital and we have new technologies to do automatic information processing and retrieval, it's really good and we can take advantage of automatic techniques, but the question is, how do you integrate automatic with human techniques? So automatic tools are good for indexing and creating metadata in some environments, but when do you need the human to come and evaluate the content of the indexing or the content of the metadata? We have increasingly new applications and tools that allow us to index and classify information automatically on the web. And they can do a good job, but they're not 100% able to create quality information documentation. And so the question is, how can you integrate an information professional's knowledge and skills about information standards with the automatic tools? And so this is a driving research question for me. And it's different in each information environment. So I work with digital data, scientific data, and how do we get the scientists creating the research data to describe their data? When does the information professional come in and help describe the scientific data with vocabulary terms? This data is about biology, it's about a specimen. What is the official name of the specimen, and where can automated tools help to create that kind of metadata? So an automatic tool can be successful in determining the date the data might have been created or saved in a file, but the automatic tools may not be so good in getting the exact name of the specimen or the species. And so there are different combinations. That's one environment, scientific data. Also interested in humanities. I have a student that I'm working with now who's very interested in music and genre and form for music. So how do we take standard vocabularies and automatic tools to describe music that's been put on in digital form on the web? There are increasingly digital repositories. You might look at them as digital libraries where archives and rare materials are being scanned and put into these repositories and born digital, things that people are creating digital. And these repositories are interdisciplinary. So in the past, we've worked with a standard vocabulary to index them. If you had a repository for biology, you might use a biology vocabulary. If you had one on art, you might use an art vocabulary. But the idea is that maybe it's about botanical art, and you need both kinds of vocabularies. You need one about biology and one about art, or one about botany and art. And so the new technologies for the internet allow integration of standard vocabularies. And we have a project called HIVE, which stands for Helping Interdisciplinary Vocabulary Engineering. And that's been the main focus of my work here. We've extended HIVE to HIVE-ES, meaning Hive España. And we are now working with Spanish vocabularies. In the past, we had just worked with English vocabularies. To give a little more context for HIVE, so we have a HIVE system at the University of North Carolina, and that's a demonstration system that allows people to use it like the HIVE system here at the university, here with the Technodoc research group. It's not at the National Library, it's here, it's owned by the Technodoc group. Also, there are other people who have used HIVE and created their own instances. So in the United States, the Smithsonian is using it for their field notebooks, the Smithsonian Museum. We know there's an instance of at the Long-Term Ecological Research Network. There's an instance at Yale University. Other people have created their own HIVE for their own repository, but the technology and the code has been developed at North Carolina. Where we're moving here through my work here is that we have now made progress, and there's a HIVE instance at the university, and once that gets going and people use it, they can also take the code. And another project here, anywhere in Spain or Spanish language countries, can take a HIVE and create their own instance, or they can use the project one that's here. HIVE has been implemented successfully. I'm working here with a research group called TechnoDoc, Technological Applications of Information Documentation, and we are also working with the National Library in Spain because they have a very important standard vocabulary. And last week we actually had a celebration at the National Library to mark the development of the HIVE-ES project, so it is operational. And we are now moving toward a event in June 18th and 19th. We're having first a symposium on vocabularies and making them accessible on the web, and it's called Linked Open Data. It relates to the ideas of Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web, and that will happen one day, and we will talk about research challenges and solutions. And the second day we will have a more focused workshop on HIVE-ES, and we have people coming from the EU area and also from my university. We have some graduate students coming, and we will offer a workshop on using HIVE in both Spanish and English, so simultaneously workshop. So it is a research and development project, HIVE-ES. So we haven't analyzed yet how effective HIVE is, and we are moving towards implementing a study through the workshop, and we will run a study there. But HIVE-ES could be used by anybody that wants to pull from the standard library vocabulary at the National Library, and there are 2 other vocabularies in there that have discipline specifications. So if they had an interdisciplinary collection, anybody with digital documents could put their text in there or their description and use the HIVE application, the HIVE-ES application. So it's operational.